Is Ford really going to a direct sales model like Tesla? Well, yes, and it's already done. And well, no, it's not going to be just like Tesla's. So today, let's jump in and talk all about Jim Farley's comments. And actually, this goes back, I did a video on this back on March 6th, because since the Q1 report, there was talk about direct sales at Ford. And I think there's a lot of good that's going to come out of this. I think there's a little bit of panic, and well, I'm here to help out. So if you're a salesman at a Ford dealership, or if you own a Ford dealership, I'd like to shed a little light on this, and I think it's really going to help you out. So I'm Johnny at Johnny's Car Care and Reviews with my co-host Winston. So I'm in charge of dog sitting today, so sorry, he might be jumping around, but I'm here to help, and I'm here to talk all about Ford's direct sales model, with a bit of information from all over. So let's put the pedal to the metal and jump right in. So let's start off with really what was said. And I've got a really interesting, very interesting information to share about this. Not just about what's going on at dealers, but also what's going on over in China, because that's going to give us a really good idea of what is to come. We'll talk about all the benefits. So Jim Farley made it pretty clear. He said, we've got to go to a non-negotiated price. We've got to go 100% online. There's no inventory at dealerships. It goes directly to the customer, and 100% remote pickup and delivery. So that was during the Bernstein's annual strategic decisions conference. So that is what it is. What does this really entail? Well, it entails prices getting under control. You know, this is really going to help out with the ADM, the over MSRP pricing that's been going on at certain dealers, not all dealers, but when there's the option to be able to buy directly online and have that vehicle delivered to you, well, it makes it so that it's a lot more difficult for the dealer to say, you know what, you want an F-150 Lightning, you're going to pay an extra $30,000 US to have an F-150 Lightning. So this is going to be really great for keeping prices under control. Certain dealers have, shown Ford that you don't need advertising, and you don't really, you can charge more. So no thank you to the dealers. That definitely showed that there's room to increase prices. But Ford is doing this as an attempt to actually make the EV side of the business, the Model E side of the business, actually profitable. So this is going to be great for Ford, because if the EVs actually become profitable, well, what are we going to have? We're going to have completely new EVs. So we saw with the F-150 Lightning, really, it's an electrified F-150 ICE, internal combustion engine model. So you could say it's a recycled electric vehicle. So we're going to see a lot less of that. And that actually comes from Jim Farley's recent comments. He said the F-150 Lightning was a one-off. That in the future, and by one-off, what did he really mean? He meant that, and it was clearly explained, the F-150 Lightning is just a converted gasoline engine, internal combustion engine, a gasoline model converted into an electric model, and that he said the future upcoming models are going to be their own distinct EVs. So while we might see something called a Ranger EV, well, it's going to be very distinct in its own way. So that's going to be really good, because it's not just about, moving forward the technology, the comfort of the vehicle. It's actually, and the technology in regards to, driving the vehicle, driving itself and whatnot, but it has a lot to do with moving forward the actual technology that's going to make a huge difference on a global scale for the environment. So this means that if EVs are actually profitable, which it looks like they believe they can be, they're saying that, Tesla spends $2,000 less on distribution. And the direct sales model, if they don't have the dealership margin to pay, that's going to mean, let's say on a Mach-E, maybe an extra, give or take $3,000 per Mach-E that's bought online. That's going to be money that they can reinvest into, let's say, fast charging. Because right now, when you charge an electric vehicle, what is holding back the vehicle being charged faster is one, the cable itself, as well as the internals of the battery. So newer, better technology needs to be applied so that the life cycle of batteries last longer, and that's currently in the works. And also that charge times are quicker. And I think the most important thing that we can see from all of this is lithium ion batteries no longer being produced. We need a better solution such as aluminum ion or iron ion batteries. So we can definitely look forward to battery technology changing dramatically. Ford is investing incredible amounts of money, billions and billions of dollars, about $50 billion into the whole EV project. We've got, the Blue Oval City, which if I recall, I did a whole show on this. It's 6 square miles. There's gonna be 11,000 new jobs being created out of all this. So the EV side does need to be profitable. It's its own distinct division. You've got Model E versus the traditional combustion engines, the Blue Oval section of the business, the Ford Blue, sorry, my mistake. Ford Blue is the ICE combustion side of the business. That's profitable, and it's going to carry the EV side of things for a little while, but they're separating it so they can actually do the accounting on both sides and that they can hold both sides completely accountable. The EV business, obviously, that's the future because governments are forcing it, but there will be job creation out of this, and EV does require less maintenance and repairs. And dealerships have shown Ford that you don't really need advertising and that you can actually sell them for more. So this worries me a little bit about prices increasing somewhat, which they need to for the whole EV technology business to be profitable anyways. But I do think that a lot of innovation is going to come out of this. I think that if you're working at a Ford dealership, though, you don't need to worry. Ford dealerships right now are going through contracts with Ford, and these contracts normally, it means putting in writing a contract for 10 or 15 years where the owners of dealerships spend, depending on the size of the dealership, anywhere from 5 to, let's say, $15 million refacing their business. And if you work at a dealer, you don't have to worry about your job disappearing. There are about 3,300 dealerships, and let's say just the sales side of things, there must be at least 30,000 salespeople working for Ford. One, if they all disappear in one shot, that's not good publicity. Ford doesn't want bad publicity, they just don't want to pay for publicity. So not paying for publicity is possible when you have incredibly popular models. It's incredible. The Lightning, the Mach-E, the Bronco, the Maverick, they've been actually bringing 70% of the business, over 70% of the business that's being generated is from people from other brands. So when you've got something that popular, when you spend money on making the product great, it'll essentially sell itself. And when it sells itself, the only problem is some dealers got the crafty idea that they could ask a whole lot more money. And Ford is working extremely hard to make sure that everyone gets the right fair price. And I love that because I strongly dislike the idea of, let's say, my parents. Really, my father's a gentleman, my mom is a very classy lady. They would never ask and, really argue and be difficult in regards to pricing. And why should they pay more, whereas someone who is, let's say, really rough and tough, kind of, really shakes up the salesperson, why would they get a better deal? And also when you shake up the salesperson, well, becomes sort of a relationship where the worker can negatively see their interactions with the people that they're supposed to be serving, and it makes it more difficult to serve. So from, a good service standpoint, I really look forward to Ford really slowly moving towards a system where they don't have sales people. They have really service people, but on what we traditionally called the sales steps to undergo. So what I really see people at Ford, sales people or sales consultants turning into, very far away from the days of the scummy salesman. I think what we're gonna see is really someone who's there to serve you. And Jim Farley did talk about moving away from, no longer paying for advertising like Tesla. Tesla doesn't even have a marketing team, and instead paying for customer experiences. For Jim Farley and for myself as well, I think it's a whole lot more impressive to really get a family experience, meaning that it's not all about price. It's nothing to do with price. Everyone gets the same fair price, but it's all about experience. So the dealership is going to have to wow you. Jim Farley talked about after 1 year, for example, on the birthday of your vehicle, for the example he gave was having a whole detailing of the vehicle. So that'd probably entail washing the interior, the exterior of the vehicle. And pickup and delivery, he also mentioned that. Pickup and delivery, Lincoln's been doing it since 2017, 2018, and what it means is that for the regular price of your oil change, a Ford dealership employee drives to your business, the tennis courts, the golf club, the yacht club, whatever club you partake in. They meet you where you need to be met. They leave you a vehicle. They drive back with your vehicle. They wash the outside of the vehicle, sometimes give a quick little vacuum on the inside, and bring you back the vehicle, all for the price of just a regular oil change. So it's not something that only happens when, let's say, you're paying for a big brake job. It's on every time the vehicle goes to the dealership. So pickup and delivery coming to Ford, that is pretty obvious. And the job of, the sales consultant is really just going to be about presenting the vehicle, making sure that the road test goes well, all the buttons are explained, and then really navigating all the questions and explaining the differences between, major models, because sometimes we don't know whether we want a Maverick, a Ranger, or an F-150. And also then finding the right trim, the submodel within the correct model. So really, these information consultants, you could just call them consultants or service people on the front end. Their job is really going to be to assess your needs and your wants, find the right model for you, and then really figure out what the correct submodel is based on your budget and what you'd like to have on the vehicle and what you really need. And over the years, I've seen all sorts of people driving trucks that are not right at all for their fifth wheel pulling, that they're completely illegal, they're in a dangerous rig. And I think to myself, what was going on? Was the salesperson purely just thinking and spending all their time negotiating price when they should have been taking care of the client's needs? This has happened a lot in the automobile industry. Markups have been happening all over the place, and Ford's working really hard to solve that. And really, I think it's amazing when you go to a dealership and you get your experience, your road test, you get all the buttons explained to you, and you figure out, I want, let's say, an F-150 Lightning. I love it. I want it. And they tell you it's going to be an extra $50,000, which was in Canadian the worst, pre-advertised, pre-markup you could call that I've seen, and about 40,000 US. Well, when you try to pull some shady business like that, I think it's just great if the person can say, well, you know what? The service has been, whether it's been fantastic or just okay. If you're going to sell me the vehicle for that much more, sorry, too bad. I'm just going to buy it online and Ford will deliver it right to my house. And when that does happen, it will put a little extra money into Ford's pockets, and they can reinvest that into bringing us more incredible products. So I think there's a lot of good in this. If you work on the marketing side of things at Ford, well, you can probably expect your job to be transitioning more into customer experiences. So kind of marketing, but marketing for customers who have already bought the vehicle. So not trying to convince people to buy the vehicle, but really marketing in the sense of keeping us customers happy with amazing experiences like Bronco Off-Roadeo. That's a customer experience. When you bought a Focus RS before they're no longer available, great hatchback, well, you could have a track day. Shelby products, the whole SVT line, you get track days with those. So I think the whole customer service experience is going to be fantastic. I do not think dealers are in any way are disappearing. I know they're not, when I know there's contracts being worked on to keep dealers around. And also in Q1, Jim Farley said that dealerships will continue to be a really important part of the process. Just now, there's another option. In case all the dealers around you want to be shady, well, too bad for them. And Ford, I have to applaud Ford. They've done a fantastic job. At least regionally, this started back last summer. It's been almost 12 months that they said there's going to be a name match program. And how name match works, basically, now it's been made very clear. If you lose 25% of the people that have ordered with you, you're not getting any VINs assigned to you for an entire month. So if you're a dealership that would normally get 100 VINs, well, if you figure the average profit margin for a dealership is, let's say, $3,000 a vehicle, well, buy about $2,000-$3,000, well, bye-bye to $200,000 to $300,000. So, and for more serious offenders, if you're caught 3 times, well, then you can just be out of the name match program. And some people might think, oh, well, that doesn't matter. Apparently, Ford is still sending out all sorts of inventory to dealerships. No, they're not. The vehicles that happen to be for sale are vehicles that are canceled. Most vehicles are only getting built for clients. So the Super Duty, the only Super Duties being pumped out of the factory have a client's name associated to it. F-150, at least regionally, 100%, all for clients, zero inventory. So dealerships don't get a vehicle that arrives in their name that they get to sell to whomever they wish. Maverick, 100%, customers only. Really, the only 2 models that Ford is sending out on the Ford side of things that can be inventory are the very rare and occasional Escape and Ford Edge, and the occasional also Explorer. For the most part, the huge majority of models, 100% customer only. There was a very short time where a few inventory Broncos were sent out when clients weren't, client orders weren't buildable, but the dealership still had a certain amount of vehicles promised in the year for them. Then, dealerships were told if they fell into this category, well, we can't build any of your customers' vehicles. Would you take, let's say, a Big Bend? So, dealerships got some plain Jane basic Big Bends, which are still fantastic Broncos, but that's just the way it went. And now 100% of the Broncos that are coming in, at least regionally, are for clients only. So Ford is working really hard to get people their vehicles. And I know it's been extremely frustrating, but it's not just at Ford. Keep in mind, Toyota and Honda have cut about almost 40% of their production. So it's been a tough year. If I recall correctly, Jim Farley was quoted not that long ago saying that he believed that all the microchip shortage could be resolved by end of year. I'm hoping that's the case. I hope I'm not incorrectly remembering this, and it's actually end of 2023. So if you did come across that article recently, please put it in the comment section, but I'm quite certain it was end of year 2022 that there is chances that the microchip shortage would be resolved. Let's hope that's the case. We all want our vehicles. To conclude, Ford dealerships are not disappearing. The dealership experience is going to be drastically changed. Jim Farley said the standards are going to be brutal. So dealerships are going to have to either opt in or just going to get excluded. So if they sell over MSRP, they're going to get excluded. Or just clients will not buy from their local dealer. They will order online. This is going to come to the combustion engine side of the business. That's pretty clear. They're testing it out in China with F-150 Raptor. That is direct sale. The Mach-E already in China is also direct sale. So these tests are being done. I would expect them to get implemented could be as early as 23. I think it's great that customers will have the option to avoid the dealership experience if their dealership doesn't want to play fair. And I also think it's incredible and fantastic on Ford's part that dealerships are going to continue to exist, because I think some people I know some people don't want to just buy a $70,000 vehicle online. It's nice to have that human contact. And some dealerships give great family styled business, and I'm all for job creation. I'm not a big fan. I'd have a lot of difficulty knowing that Ford would be canning, Probably if dealerships were to close altogether, when you have 3,300 of them, if you put, let's say on average 50 people per dealership, I think it'd be awful news if 150,000 jobs were being lost. But that is not the case. We're just getting more options. This is better for everyone, and dealers are going to get to opt. Do you want to play ball and get to sell EV vehicles? Or if you're going to be selling them overpriced, you're just going to not be part of that process, because dealerships are going to choose, they're going to be opting in. And if they don't follow the rules, they'll get forcefully opted out. So that's all great news. I hope you've enjoyed this episode. If you have, please hit that like button, get the word out, leave a comment. Even if you've gotten this far, your comment can be as simple as finisher. That lets me know how the content's going, really helps the channel also get out there and spread out. Hit that subscribe button if you do want to help feed a poodle. In the meantime, I do wish you all more cars and more power. If it's your thing, I hope you get to put the pedal to the metal. Hope you get your Ford soon. Take care, have a great weekend.
You enjoy eating some flowers? Hey, Winston? Winston, show me your face. Why are you covered in flowers?